This morning, actress Amber Heard will be back on the stand for cross-examination in her ex-husband Johnny Depp's $50 million defamation trial against her. On Monday, she defended her op-ed at the center of this lawsuit that alleges Depp was abusive, saying that, quote, every word of it is true. CNN's Chloe Melas joins us now. Chloe, a lot of standout moments from yesterday.
Good morning, Caitlin. Yesterday, when Amber Heard took the stand and she was cross-examined by Depp's attorneys, things got incredibly heated. She was questioned about not having taken photographs that showed the alleged violence that she endured over the relationship that she had with Depp. Here's a little bit more of what she said when she took the stand.
Following a week-long break in proceedings, actress Amber Heard was back on the stand, providing more testimony in the $50 million defamation case her ex-husband, actor Johnny Depp, has filed against her. At the center of the case, a 2018 op-ed Heard wrote for the Washington Post, over 2 years after she filed for divorce. Heard described herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse and justified the decision to have the article published in her name.
And I was happy to weigh in on what I saw as the unique phenomena that women and typically women experience in our culture when they come forward against somebody more powerful, when they speak up about gender-based violence.
And on Monday, she defended the op-ed. It didn't name Depp, but his lawsuit alleges it cost him work.
What, if anything, in this op-ed was incorrect?
Nothing. Every word of it is true.
Depp denies any abuse and says Heard, who filed a $100 million countersuit, abused him. Heard pushed back against Depp's team's comments that her allegations were a hoax.
To use what I've lived through and what I've survived, calling it fake, saying that I'm harming Johnny with this, I'm harming the public with this. This is what I've lived through. And to say that it's a hoax, that these aren't even real things.
Heard told the jury the reasons for ending her marriage.
That I knew if I didn't, I'd likely not literally survive. I've been so scared that it was going to end really badly for me.
Despite those claims, Depp's attorneys have pointed out Heard once refused to cooperate with the police following an altercation. Her attorney provided an opportunity for Heard to clarify.
So why didn't you want to cooperate with the police?
Because I wanted to protect Johnny. I didn't want him to be arrested. I didn't want him to be in trouble.
During her testimony, Heard denied being involved in an incident involving feces in their bedroom.
Well, Raquel and I were both in that bed with the dogs, and I didn't notice anything, but we left them in the bed while we packed a bag to go to Coachella, you know.
Did you commit any kind of prank?
Absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not.
And why would that not be something you would do?
First of all, I don't think that's funny. I don't know what a grown woman does. I was not also in a pranking mood. My life was falling apart.
Heard also testified about her counterclaim, which revolves around Depp's attorney calling her abuse allegations a hoax. Afterward, she said her role in the upcoming Aquaman sequel was reduced.
They basically took a bunch out of my role. They just removed a bunch out.
CNN has reached out to Warner Brothers, the studio behind the Aquaman franchise, for comment. Warner Brothers shares the same parent company as CNN. During her cross-examination, Depp's attorneys pointed out that Heard has yet to make good on her pledge to donate the entire $7 million divorce settlement she received from Depp. Heard admitted falling short of completing the full donations, blaming Depp's countersuit against her. Depp's attorney also questioned Heard's abuse allegations, at times zooming in on photos taken of the actress during public appearances and overseas trips, including one to Australia in March of 2015.
You testified that you had cuts on the bottoms of your feet as well.
Yes, that's true.
And you testified that you had a bruise across your jaw from when Mr. Depp, quote, clocked you in the face, end quote.
That's true.
You didn't take any pictures of these injuries while you were in Australia, did you?
I don't think I took any pictures.
On all of this, let's also bring in criminal defense attorney Sarah Azari. Sarah, this has just been remarkable to watch. And what they were saying there, as she was talking about this op-ed that is at the center of this, she says that every word that she wrote is true.
Yeah, and this came right before her cross-examination. And this sort of pre-testimony alert is both odd and unnecessary. It calls her credibility into question more. It's almost like a red flag. And frankly, the truth needs no defense. Let the jury decide who to believe. That's really, this is a he said, she said case, and it's ultimately up to this jury.
So talk to me about that, because what's interesting here is that what people hear being discussed here are charges of domestic abuse, allegations of domestic abuse, but it's not a domestic abuse case. It's a defamation case that is a he said, she said issue. So what is it that you think the jury is seeing in all of this?
I think up until now, when her cross-examination started yesterday, the jury was seeing maybe some instances of abuse by both of these individuals against each other. Depp, although being probably the more credible witness in terms of his disposition, in terms of his story. But this trial, John, is so bad for the credibility of true domestic violence victims who are already struggling with being believed, And ultimately here, we have the issue of the defecation in the bed, which is the entertaining part of this whole case. And then you have all these issues of abuse and no photographs to document, no medical records to document. These are not just slight marks. These are things that are non-elective in terms of having to go to the doctor. You're bleeding, you're broken, your ribs are broken, you can't breathe. You got to have medical records. So I am not at all imposing criteria on victims of domestic violence to document or we don't believe them. But she is a photographer. She has photographed a lot of chaos, a lot of broken objects, but not these horrific injuries. That's why she's not credible.
How is she pushing back on that during this cross-examination, which I know is still continuing? What's she saying to his attorney's arguments?
To your point, she's up there and she says, well, I don't know. I have certain photos and I used ice. We have makeup and, I was injured. But there was one instance that fans of Johnny Depp immediately latched onto where she says that she had broken her nose by Depp during an altercation. And then she went on a late night television show appearance and they were zooming in on her facial gestures and saying, this doesn't appear to look like somebody who had broken their nose. Now, I've never broken my nose, so I wouldn't know what that feels like or what that necessarily looks like, if maybe small fracture. But she says everything that she has claimed is true. She has photographs that show maybe redness, some marks, but to your point, to the point of the court of public opinion, which is heavily on Depp's side, they're saying, where are the receipts? Where is the evidence that really backs this up? They also talked to her about the broken bottle that he allegedly put inside of her. And they said, why did you not seek medical attention if you were bleeding? You obviously had to have been incredibly injured. And she said that she was embarrassed and she didn't want that to get out there for Depp's sake.
I mean, it's just such a fascinating trial. I think people are watching this so closely to see what happens and what the jury ultimately decides. Thank you both for joining us this morning to break it all down.